Yo, it's the Dad by God, one quarter of the Ride Squad. How you doing? Today is really going to be a nice light day because I want to talk a little bit about gaming at home. Matter of fact, emulating these motorsports activities that we do outside, doing it at home. When you're at home, you really want to simulate what you do in real life, but how close can you get? That's what I want to explore. Motorcycles, they've got their games. Cars, they've got a ton of games. Cars way more than motorcycles. Which one is useful? I think motorcycle games are for fun, and I think car games are more useful than motorcycle games. Car games specifically are more useful because I just think the genre has been elevated more. There's more interest in it, so there's more focus that's been applied to it. Yeah, you got some niche things that happen on PC and everything like that, but who's to tell that that's accurate or not? Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of people that do take the time to make it, they're just enthusiasts of it, not large partakers of it. So let's just take a look at a few things that have to do with these two motorsports disciplines, and let's think about, how they go on about executing the genre, the subject that they're emulating. See, motorsports in real life is something that people all around, man, woman, child, they deem it dangerous. It's exciting. It's hair raising, right? Everyone respects it when it's done at a high level. But not everybody really needs to know about the cars specific being used, the bike, the truck, whatever specifically being used. You just know when that thing that you're looking at is being used on a level that's high or exciting, or you just know when there's something way out of your wheelhouse as far as operation. It's kind of like when people watch fighting or they watch basketball, football, you can yell from your couch and say, man, why ain't he doing this play? Why ain't he guarding him closer? Why didn't the wide receiver just keep running and he wasn't going to catch him? Why wasn't the boxer, going toe to toe with him? Like, everybody sits from their couch and will coach. When motorsports, you're just on the edge of your seat. There's nothing like watching Top Rack maneuver a motorcycle to the highest extent, giving it 120% of the effort and not putting it down. You're sitting watching in silence because, for one, you respect it. For two, you're holding your breath just hoping that he can hang on and he doesn't put the bike down. For three, you got your fingers crossed if you're rooting for him because you really want him to win. It's the same thing as watching Lewis Hamilton pilot the car back and driving it up through on a brilliant race, getting up to the top 10 or leader of the pack. It's something that you watch and you're just holding your breath, hoping that a miracle happens, hoping that the impossible is done by the person that you're rooting for. When you watch drift events and you're really, really rooting for your driver, you're hoping that he scores good in qualifying. You're hoping that his bracket doesn't align him with absolute killers. These are the things that motorsport fans, they sit by, they hold their breath, and then they gasp when it goes wrong, or they cheer when it goes right. These are the kind of things that watching motorsports versus participating in motorsports versus playing motorsports has a vast difference in. When you're participating in it, your heart's beating. But does that same kind of thing happen at home? And does it happen the same way with the cars as it does with the bikes? Can you play a motorcycle game at home and feel that same type of excitement? See, most of these games are simulating racing conditions. They allow you to understand something a little bit more, which otherwise you wouldn't understand. That there's certain rules, there's certain things that have to be abided by with the guidelines in the vehicles and machines that are being used. These are the kind of inside looks behind the scenes that you get when you play or deal with simulation motorsport games. Those are cool things that give you a closer look inside the world that excites you. Race lengths, knowing pit rules, knowing when the motorcycles leave the pit, they only have enough gas to complete the set amount of laps that they have. And depending on if they're running the bikes on the highest power map, they may not even have enough fuel to complete the laps. So they have to manage their fuel. They have to manage their tires. Hey, why wouldn't you stay in the draft all the way down the straight? Why did you pop out into the dirty air to pop back in? In MotoGP, if you're chasing a guy in the draft, you're overheating your tire and you have to pop out to get it clean air so to cool the tires down. See, those are the little things. Like maybe in simulation conditions when you're playing these games, you get that. That's if you play the game with the simulation to the point where it should be. Man, I want to get in and I want to drive that makes you know that I'm that step above you. My throttle maintenance, my fuel maintenance, my tire maintenance helps me get to that last segment, those last 5 laps where I could push just that much harder than you can because you just been out here blasting full throttle, running the full range of the RPM, not knowing how to keep your shit together to preserve for the long race. Those are the cool things that I think are in these games. You know, the best game is one that will allow you the full simulation aspect as well as allow you the freedom to play it how you want. That's kind of what Gran Turismo is to me. Yeah, everybody can play the Assetto Corsa this or Project Cars that or whatever simulation this or that. Gran Turismo's an arcade game. It's a game that has duality. It's not a one-dimension game. If you jump on it and want to have fun and play, you can do that. If you jump on it and want to have a eagle-eyed simulation, you can get really close to doing that. I won't say full simulation because somebody's going to say something outrageously stupid about what it doesn't have versus what something else has. You know, it's more or less the physics of handling the property or element of the physical components, how those work, and how those translate to you, what you think the experience is really about. Since I do it in real life, on both, of course, motorcycle and car, how do these handling characteristics compare to the real life environment versus what the game environments offer? Cars, if you have a rig and you sit in that seat and you physically, mechanically steer a steering wheel that is in direct relation to turning the car, a lot of these games, and I mean all of them, even including garbage ass Forza, they're pretty damn good. In my real life experience, I know that I could be off of driving in real life for 2-3 months and I can be driving on the game in those 2-3 month time frames and I am not rusty because it keeps your physical mechanicals together in the aspect of how you drive a car. I'm physically turning the wheel with feedback in the same relation that I physically turn the wheel in real life with the turning forces of my car. I'm up on that. I have to connect the contact to what I'm looking at in VR through and around the track to what my body is putting in physical input steering the car in. Actually using the throttle pedal, pedaling it to keep it from spinning, breaking loose. Maintenance throttle in corners, coming out of corners, braking on threshold, things like that. Those are the things that physically relate to exactly what I do in real life. And it does not change from the game to in real life, except for the G-forces that are added. But mentally, you can understand, you can prioritize what you're doing and what you're seeing versus needing to feel the G-forces and loads. So that's not that big of a deal, even though I know there's some guys that go off the deep end, building up rigs and stuff at home that have all the movement, and then they feel like they are the authority. You know, you're not the authority. You could have spent that money on a real car and going to a real track day. You just have a really sick conversation piece for anybody that comes in your house. But the motorcycles, there are no actual rigs that you can ride a motorcycle on. Now, I know people say, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen guys take the Monza wheel hub and put handlebars on it? Have you seen it? Man, I've seen it all. I've been looking at and looking through any form of home riding rig, and none of them make sense. None of them can be done. Think about it. The old school arcade games where you just sat on a spring-loaded motorcycle and leaned left to right, that doesn't simulate riding. You're just in a position and you're leaning over left to right. You're just slamming, boom, bam, left, right. Think about riding a real motorcycle. There's so many different gyroscopic forces, G-forces, things that you feel the bike wiggle and move and get out of alignment with each other. The front wheel and the rear wheel, speaking on, moving out of alignment with each other. There's so many things that you have to do physically with your body versus what you can try to emulate at home. No games actually do this in real life properly when you're speaking about motorcycle games. So what about physics specifics? In a car simulation that you have set up, they deal with the tire, they deal with the surface, they deal with the environment, they deal with the suspension model, they deal with the weight physics, they deal with all of that stuff. And then that processes and translates into the steering wheels. It's a really cool thing when you start to nerd out and think of all of the properties that they calculate to direct a feeling in the steering wheel. Because again, when you're in a car, do you sit forward or backward or lean left to right to help that car move? No. You turn a steering wheel left to right and you press a pedal to go forward or a pedal to slow it down. And you just have to do all of those things in reason to make it around a track. Those do it better, they go faster. Those that do it worse, they go slower. But that's it. A motorcycle, if you lean forward, it has a difference. If you lean backwards, it has a difference. If you lean left to right, it does something different. But that's in a straight line. Imagine in a corner. When you're in a corner, if you sit forward, it's cornering different. If you sit backwards, it's cornering different. If you sit more to the left, more to the right, it could be the same left-hand corner or the same right-hand corner. All of those differences will make a different outcome on corner exit or mid corner. We ain't even talking about applying throttle in corner or applying the brake. There's far too many different things that happen that make the motorcycle go around a corner. So in motorcycle physics, they seem to try a tire model. They seem to try a suspension model. They seem to try a physics. But mostly, and just what I've observed, most of the time, if you look at any motorcycle game, you seem to control the motorcycle and the rider, he kind of moves around the bike in an animation. Like, you could lean a bike in, the rider will be late on the movement. The bike will already be leaning. The rider physic is just late. He's just there. I do think that they account for the weight of the rider, but you're moving the motorcycle. When you lean it left, the bike leans left. When you put weight on the back tire, it's the motorcycle almost putting weight on the back tire. There's just a physic of the rider. What I personally think motorcycle video games, you should control the rider himself. When you apply throttle, the throttle is applied by the rider's hand. When you apply the brake, I think the brake application should be by the rider's hand. So it shouldn't be left up to the motorcycle to move and then the rider moves, because in real life, we, the rider, move the bike. So when you lean that rider left to right, the bike should act accordingly. Have you ever noticed when you're playing a motorcycle video game and you lean left to right at slow speed, it's just the bike doing something that it's supposed to do in reference to the control that you're giving it, not what it actually does? You know, in real life, you could go slow speed and you lean over, you could just fall over. Pow! Right? I think you should be able to lean and hook a tight U-turn, because that's what happens in real life. If you lean, the bike could fall over and trail over and rotate around, do what it needs to do. I feel like motorcycle games should be able to lean the rider to maneuver the motorcycle. And again, how would a peripheral at home work in that way for you to control a motorcycle? I just don't think production of stuff is that far up advanced for that kind of shit to happen. I mean, now space constraints are a real thing, and a lot of people are living in apartments and they don't have space to put a rig is big for them to jump on and have all the movement and everything, let alone what it actually does as far as momentum, rotational mass, and shit like that, you know, providing the actual physic of the ride. That's why I think car stuff is way more superior, because you could put a seat with a steering wheel attached to it and use VR and sit in the corner of your room. There's really nothing like that for motorcycles. How do you improve upon this for future production of games? And you can't really for motorcycles. You really can't. I mean, maybe you do produce a motorcycle rig, a steering wheel that's very specific that, you know, you could push forward on the handlebars, maybe about a millimeter or two, and pull back on the handlebars to do specific stuff like that to move the rider's weight forward or backward. Same thing. Push left, push right on the handlebar to make the bike dip in left and dip in right, because everybody always does it really weird, like turning the handlebars like a car. Man, you can't turn handlebars like that in real life. You know, dirt track riding is the most amount of handlebar turning that I think you'll ever see. You know, you go around the track, slide sideways, you got the handlebars fully torqued to the side, you know, maintaining the slide. Motocross is very short range of slides coming out of corners, things like that. Street bikes, you're not really doing too much counter steering in that way, I should say. Me personally, I think motorcycle video games just kind of are going to stay the way that they are unless somebody does a physics that translates pretty good, and maybe take that advice that I'm giving, like make the motorcycle rider be the element or the focus point of where the motorcycle handles. That's just something that I think could change that genre, but for the most part, man, I think everything is up to it being fun for motorcycles, and you can really emulate your car stuff. Then it also gets to the point of price, right? Because you can get some nerds sitting at home that'll spend $50,000 and $70,000 on a driving simulation rig when you could have bought a car, the components, and spent money on track days and been doing it in real life. There's a lot of nerds, there's a lot of people that'll tell you the way a car is supposed to feel, and they have never driven a car on the track. They've driven to the corner store and their local McDonald's millions of times, and they feel that qualifies them to tell you how a car should drive and or feel physically in real life on the track. Just because they've got a sim rig and it's so overpowered and there's so much money they've spent in it, they think that makes them an authority to tell you how this shit's supposed to act and how it's supposed to work. It couldn't be further from the truth. But again, they are physically getting the motions and mechanical use, the physical mechanical use of steering a wheel, shifting a gear, and pushing a pedal. So yes, they're getting an experience. It just, they don't know how accurate it is or not. Motorcycles, it could never happen. Not for what the price would have to be to have a rig, because it has to physically resist you leaning over at certain speeds. You can muscle it down as we do in real life, but it has to physically resist certain things, you know, when you're leaning it and accelerating, and has to lift up and spill forward. If you're making a riding rig, like if you were to put that kind of money in a motion rig for a motorcycle, that's kind of how it's got to be. Some of the car stuff is really up there. It's really a $50,000, $60,000 rig available. Shit, having a console rig that sits on a stand, I'm not really sure. Because remember, we operate things with our feet as well on motorcycles. So where is there going to be a rig that we have a shifter on the left foot, a brake on the right foot, where you push actual physical weight on each peg that assists in the turn left and right? Yeah, there's that kind of cool shit that needs to be done to make an at-home rig that gives you the ability to, you know, kind of physically experience some of the things that real motorcycle riding does. Well, yeah, man, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because, man, I'm a real advocate for in the off seasons going ahead and jumping on these games and getting your feel in. When it's raining, you ain't going to a track day. Maybe you're out of tires. You got to wait for your next shipment. Shit like that. The best thing a motorcycle game is going to do is visually give you a focus point on where to look through the track and keep your visual training up. Because looking through and deep out is the best point to help you get from A to B on a motorcycle, getting your visuals up. But you know what I'm saying? This is a little talking point while I play these games and enjoy myself. More track content coming right up. You know, it's a Dad Bod Guy, 1/4 Ride Squad. Let me get y'all two, and we out.